Which is just me and you till then.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mancunian Way, episode 6 of Blues Down Under. I'm your host, Patrick. Joined, as always, by the transfer alert ticking time bomb that is Alan. How are you, mate?
G'day, guys. How you going?
Are you in a better place now? Are you in a better place now?
I'm very happy when I put on
Yes.
Sky News and I saw the announcement and the interview of Rinders.
Yes, well, Alan, as everybody else knows, you shouldn't be relying too heavily on the media for all of your news, okay?
Right, okay. Well, he signed.
Do you remember the old saying in the English media? They said when you combine the sun and the mirror, it's always best to look away.
Well, this is it. They're all liars out there in the media. I've always said that.
Yeah. Well, big up to everybody who's joined us here this evening as well. It's just been all right over here in Australia. Winter at the moment. We're enjoying ourselves, and obviously things are good in the football world over here because our beloved Socceroos have just qualified for the World Cup next year, beating Saudi Arabia earlier in the early hours this morning 2-1, which guaranteed a second spot in the group and through to punch our plane ticket over to North America next year. So happy days with that anyway. So things are good here right now. And of course, for the rest of you, all Blues, I'm sure we're all absolutely over the moon after that transfer window, which we're going to go and dissect for this the show this evening as well. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, because I won't be on Thursday night chat, but I wanted to talk with Alan a little bit about Outgoings, seeing as now, we've done a lot of our business with Ingoings, with this small transfer window. I think the main focus will have to be put on who's exactly going to be going out once the window reopens in approximately a week's time. So, before we get onto that, I'm just going to quickly go through and have a look at who's in the building with us this evening. Again, apologies. I'll be getting handover with the system with Martin in the coming days. So I'll be in a position to start posting everybody's comments as well. But just going from the top here, Ethan, big up, mate. Thanks for posting that link as well. I did, saw your link that you sent me on Instagram as well too. So if anybody wants to go and click on the link there, it's at the top of the comments. Just to do with just the work he does with mental health. So always, mate, your support of the channel, and of course, we'd love to help you in any way we can. Who else is in the building? Governor 66, yes, my good mate from Harvey Bay. Hope you're doing well, mate. Kathy in the building. Janelle, good to see you, mate. Captain Harris, Sam I Am, Buddy Coles, good evening, mate. Jarvis Howe's in the building. Oh, we've got Ryan Cherky's in the building as well too. I've seen you in plenty of chats, mate, over the last few days. Always a pleasure to have you here, and we're expecting a lot out of you in the next, hopefully, 10 years. So good stuff there. SOS is in the building. Massive's here. Foggy, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Kathy, I think I mentioned your name. Yep, it's good to see you too. Matteo81's in the building. Stuffy Dave, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you. Jules here as well. and Adam Quinn as well. Thank you very much. Of course, the drill guys, of course, just don't be afraid to give us a like, of course. Anybody new to the channel, welcome as well. You're going to be listening to some quality waffle, but we're proud to give you that waffle anyway. So let's quickly dive into it anyway. Now, first things first, obviously it was just announced over the City website just the last couple of hours. Tjani Rinders has signed to Manchester City after a approximately £47 million transfer from AC Milan, not including add-ons as well. He's a 26-year-old midfielder from the Netherlands of Dutch East Indies descent as well. Roughly plays a number 8 position. If we could say like for like, he'd be most likely a sort of not a Gundogan replacement, but if you were looking at comparisons for players that we currently have in our squad, he's probably the closest. An important signing, someone that I believe the club's had their eye on for a bit of time. He's won the midfielder of the season for the Serie A as well too. So just shows that he's highly well regarded in the leagues that he's played as well. And we're very excited about what this guy brings. So, Alan, I'm going to pass it on to you now, because obviously you and I were having a bit of a bicker this morning about why wasn't announced yet. But now the dust is settled, and I think we're very happy, with this transfer window. And which I think I'm just looking forward to seeing how these guys play. But I also want to ask you, do you feel a little bit more energized about possibly watching the Club World Cup with these new signings?
Regarding the Club World Cup, don't really give a shit. I just think it's pre-season for me. I'm energized to see how they do.
Are you at least like a movie premiere to a good movie, like that sort of thing, where you're a bit like
to me, it's the Club World Cup in America is Mickey Mouse from pre-season till get fit. For me, that's what I'm going to take. If we lose a game, I'm not going to cry about it. It's just one of those things. I am enthusiastic towards seeing these new signings and seeing how they adapt and how they do. But to me, it's all about preparation for trying to get our league title back for next season. That's what I want more than anything. And if these guys adapt to come in and do well for us, which I hope they do, because they played in the City shirt. I'll be pleased.
Who excites you the most?
I'll be honest with you, Rinders. He's established. He's got experience. He plays in a similar way to what Gundogan does. He's up and down. Takes control of midfield. Yeah, we've got the Maverick. We've signed the Maverick in midfield as well. The fullback, left fullback's good. We still need a right fullback in my eyes. I still think we need to sign that. So we'll see who we can get. The lad from Newcastle would be a good acquisition, but I'm not sure we can get him. I just think that he might be out of our reach this season. He might be the year after, but we'll have to wait and see. But we definitely need a right fullback for me. I watched Walker last night for England, and he's come back to the club after a loan spell, and he's unfortunately his legs have gone. And there's nothing anyone can do about that. He's been a good player. He's been brilliant for us over a long period of time. We have to move on.
Yeah, I did see little highlights of Kyle Walker in that game. And the first thing I thought when I looked at him was not just, yes, his legs are gone, but I can't help but think that a good amount of that fan base are going to start screaming for a new right back, and one that we can have at the club for 10 years. So sometimes it's not even the certain player that you want. It's what other players do that sort of make the fans behave in a certain way. So, I mean, I'm all for it. Sooner or later, we're going to have to move on. We have to accept that this is a business. But, look, I mean, I think the whole right back business, and, there's obviously one fullback who's probably on the lips of everybody at the moment, from Newcastle. And, that's something we could certainly talk about for future shows. But until that happens, there's so much that we can look forward to with the signings that we made. And, it's the thing that really stands out for me is not just the manner in which we did it, but the fact that we did it with basically a new sort of chief of operations. Look, with all due respect to Tiki, and he would have had some sort of influence in there.
Yeah.
From what it looks like Hugo Viana was pulling most of the strings in this transfer window. And to be honest, it really is sort of his first transfer window, because I think January probably would have been more to do with. Cheeky would have had a bit more of a main character role in that transfer window. So this is his first, and I'd have to say, safe to say, he's passed with absolute flying colours this one, hasn't he? So he's been nothing short of exceptional.
Because we have to get quite a few in. I do think Tiki's played his part as well, and obviously he's finishing very soon. And our new guy seems to be stepping up and doing the business. I don't think our transfer window's over. He's got probably even a tougher job getting rid of a few players now, because that's not going to be easy. Because the wages that City pay makes it harder for players to move on. It really does.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? The Grealish is a big example of that. Being able to get rid of Jack Grealish. Now, I like Jack Grealish. I think he's a good player. It's just not worked out for him in the last probably 18 months at City. Obviously the treble year was decent, but it's just not. And he's not, because he's on 300 grand a week. Because he's on 300 grand a week. It's
a bit of an albatross, isn't it?
It's going to cost us money. It really is. Can you just take over for a minute? The mother and father's just trying to ring me.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, mate. All good. Yeah, that's fine. I've sent links out to Nick as well too, so hopefully he'll be on the show in a little bit as well too. Martin's just a little bit out at the moment, but he should be on a little bit later on as well too. So we'll have him in as well. Don't ask him to pull another Aussie accent. It's not good for anybody. But look, it's good to see familiar faces in here as well too. Chat, obviously going to have a bit of a word with you right now, but what is everybody's rating out of 10 for this transfer window? Because barring the obvious, and the obvious was a certain German midfielder, I think this is as close as we could have got, given what the market was available to us and what we could have possibly done. I felt that, after the news had broken that we were no longer in the running for Wirtz, I was kind of glad that we had, two sort of, chief of operations with Cheeky and Viana, because you had obviously the established side of it, the man that we know, the one who knows how the business runs, knows how to sell the product in Cheeky, versus somebody who's not going to show the emotional attachment to things and go in there and be a hard, like a savage businessman and just get stuff done. And the manner in which Hugo Viana has certainly done this, I think it's absolutely exceptional. I don't know if everybody else feels the same way as well too. But I've been flogging this dead horse for ages too. But with Viana, and I said this before, you've got to look at what he was doing before he came to us. He was running the show in terms of signings for Sporting Lisbon in a league that is very, very competitive. Even if you take out the top three teams, it's still quite competitive. But that league does not necessarily rely too much on how much money comes through it, especially considering it's so heavily dominated by the big five leagues, particularly the Premier League probably being the first that in terms of cash flow. You've got to be very, very very savvy in the market. You got to trust your scouts. You got to know where to look, when's the right time to make decisions, when's the right time to get players, how to develop them, or when's the right time to develop them, things like that. And I've said this before, and I think what we've done there is we've got a first-hand idea of what someone with that sort of knowledge in a league where you have to have your wits about you in terms of saving money or being cost effective, being able to do that now in a big money club. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, me personally, in terms of what we could possibly doing with this club under the control of Viana. Yeah, the guy's showing so much promise, for what we can do in the future. Just shows, we've seen firsthand. We've already seen the best of both worlds. We've seen how we can go in for business for a big signing, and then go to Plan B, and then by the time Plan B finishes, it feels like Plan A minus, or if Philly and Wirtz was Plan A plus, this is Plan A. Do you know what I mean, Alan? I don't know if you feel the same way, but there are so many things, so many positives that we can take out of this. And the fact that he's done it in his first window, effectively his first window by himself. I mean, it just gives you so much confidence going forward, knowing that we're not only able to recruit the right people, but we are able to just move on so much quicker. You know, we screamed for something like this when we had the Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham windows.
Well,
they didn't happen, and now that it's happened, I think it's another reason to get so hyped up over what this team can do over the next couple of years.
I think more than anything, the club at that level have learned from the mistakes they made the last 12, 18 months in the transfer window. With the Bellingham one especially, and the Rice was pretty much quick, but the Bellingham one, we dwelled on that and tried to do a deal for nearly 6 months. It was a waste of time. And he actually used the club to get the deal that he wanted at Real Madrid.
I think he used several clubs.
Yeah, he did.
I think he used a few.
I think once we found out pretty quickly that Wirtz didn't want us, we got straight up to our second target, which he was our second target, and we've got from the looks of it, and let's be honest, I've seen a couple of games of him, and I saw the last half an hour of that France-Germany game. He looks a good one, but you can't judge a player on the basis of 2.5 games.
Who's this you talking about? Sorry,
the Turkey.
Oh yeah.
You can't judge. We have to see what he does for us over a consistent period. So
of course, yeah,
he looks good.
Of course, yeah, but also too, I mean, you're looking at 20 assists across all competitions. Yeah. And yes, we can talk down the French league, we can talk down Europa League a little bit. Again, you got to beat what's in front of you, and I think when you're putting those sort of numbers, that's pretty impressive. I don't know if Kevin De Bruyne had those sort of numbers when he came from Wolfsburg before we signed him. I mean, he was pretty close to it.
Yeah, he was.
But you got to, again, another reason we got to draw a parallel. We got to draw a parallel in the fact that we got this player who had so much potential, and seeing if they were able to take the next step up, and they certainly did. You know, albeit they had to wait a season before the proper manager came in before they could get things going. But there's so many parallels that are happening with this summer window compared to previous summer windows when we'd had a drop off. So again, we shouldn't be looking at next season with a lot of skepticism. We should be looking with a lot of positivity, and there's way more positives coming out of what we're doing from a bad season, from a bad scenario. That I don't like to overhype things, but I think you can certainly go in with a almost calculated sense of positivity, or feel very upbeat about everything that's going to happen as well.
Yeah, it's I know Cherky, he seems a bit more of a maverick type player. The only concern I have about a maverick type player, which he is how does Pep discipline him and control him to play in a system that he likes? Because we've seen what was happened to Jack Grealish, who was a bit of a maverick, but he had to discipline him on the left-hand side. When he played for Villa, he was all over the shop, mainly down the middle. And tying him up to just do a job and stay in his position, is Cherky going to be able to do that and have the discipline to be told what to do by Pep? Some players don't respond to that. So that's my only question. We'll have to see. We'll just have to see.
Is that another opportunity maybe for you to just do a little bit of scouting then?
I will do.
You talk about saying you're not going to watch the Club World Cup, but this is a good opportunity to scout them a little bit.
Possibly. Yeah. I will be in on the 11 o'clock game at the Imperial to watch that game at the 11 o'clock day. That game. I will watch that. The 2 a.m. one.
You know what I'm going to say next, though, Alan? You know what I'm going to say next?
What?
You're saying you're not going to be up at 2 a.m. for the match against Wydad, yet you'll happily get up at 1:30 to message out Martin and whinge about something.
Oh, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. The pub's not open. The pub's not open. He said.
I know. It's just saying at that time of the day you'll have priorities.
I'll be in bed watching the game, or I'll be upstairs in my living room watching it on my sofa.
Yeah.
I'll do that. But it'll be a good exercise. He's only taking 25 players, not 35.
That was what I was going to get onto, yes, because 35, but he's going to take 10 less than that, yeah.
And that's probably one of the reasons why Grealish is not going. And I don't think he's going to play Foden. I think Foden needs time out, personally, because he had a poor season last year for a multiple of reasons, and we need him to be firing when the season starts. So if
We
you have
must be
another,
getting close. We must be getting close to the squad leaving to go to head there soon.
well, probably.
It's surprised the squad hasn't been called yet in terms of who's going to go or who isn't going to go. So
Where they stay in Miami.
I'm not too sure. I would probably assume that they'll probably spend some time in Orlando and some time in New York, because I think the way the fixtures roll, depending on how we perform, we're either going to spend a lot of time in Florida, mostly Orlando, or a lot of time in New York. So that's sort of how it's looking at the moment. I know the first game's in Philly, but eventually they'll probably make their way down to Florida at some point anyway. But yeah. I'm curious, and I think most of us are also, now that everything's out of the way, we are going to be spending a lot of time just process of elimination and seeing who's not going to be there. Another thing too, I think we'll probably also be looking with a bit of curiosity is what shirt numbers some of these new signings are going to have as well too, because they haven't mentioned anything either, and a lot of the time we start looking and saying what number they're going to be, whose number have they taken. Just little things to just make for interesting conversation anyway. But Alan, before we go on, just quickly, just some membership updates as well. Foggy has joined up to the channel. Big up yourself. Thank you very much, mate. Simon Clark, membership for 17 months. Thank you very much, mate. Always appreciate your help. And Foggy, being the legend that Foggy is, has sent 10 Mancunian Way memberships out to the chat. So big up to you, mate. And obviously send big W's to Foggy if you picked up a membership off him. Yeah. So just quickly going back in the chat, just to what I said about rating out of 10 for the transfer window. Let's see from the top here. We've got Bevo with a 9, Blue Dots with an 8, Andrew 8.5 so far, Belly 81 with an 8, Abu's got an 8, Leaf with 9 out of 10. Yep, small window. Probably should have been a bit more specific with that rating as well too, about just this transfer window, because I think our business, the manner in which we do our business this window is going to be different the next window.
We've got two, one a week's one and another one as well, haven't we?
Well, we got this one, which was specific to the competition, to the Club World Cup, and then we have another one, the usual one, which kicks off in about a week, and then that goes all the way through to the 1st of September.
Does it? Right.
Yeah. Like I said, if we didn't have this competition, this whole window wouldn't have existed.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse, whatever.
Yeah. All right, Nick, how you doing, mate?
Good. How are we, lads?
Did you win? Did you win?
No, 3-3, mate.
Oh, did you score?
No, I got an assist though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was that Kevin De Bruyne assist?
That was pretty good. Just thread between a few defenders. So
nice one. There you go.
You missed it, but it's all right.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shank, but
yeah.
It was a bit of a
Martin, you all right, mate? Martin, you all right?
He's just observing.
He's
there with the specs and a clipboard and doing what he needs to do. Obviously, apologies. Apologies, Nick. Yeah, but a bit late to the show, but we've just been talking about this transfer window now. Of course, I think you and I were in agreement that this business that we've done has certainly just made what the start of the window was. The whole Florian Wirtz thing just seem obsolete now. I don't know if you've changed your idea of that, or if there's anything you wanted to add to that. But I think we're all just feeling very, very excited about what's coming up and what's ahead.
No, I think it's obviously a great start. I think we pretty much, I'd say the club outlined pretty much the most important kind of positions that we needed to get sorted. Legs in midfield.
Right fullback's the one for me now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of we've already got one fullback in the door. We've got a pair Rinders with legs in the midfield, a bit of physicality as well. And then you've got the creative kind of spark of Cherky. So I think honestly, mate, it's a really good start to the window. I think now it's going to be about outgoings first, and then they'll look at potentially a right back, and basically, as Martin's kind of mentioned previously as well, 1 in, 1 out, depending on who goes.
Doku. Tjani. Rodrigo in.
Don't tease me, mate. I told you.
You've only got yourself to blame, Nick, I'm afraid.
I know.
Don't worry, we'll discuss this over lunch tomorrow.
Yes, we will. We will.
You know, I didn't want to chat about it, but I think we have to. Just yes, we'd love to see Rodrigo. Yeah, yes, you're falling into the FIFA verse a little bit, doing that sort of thing. No, you're right, mate. Just you're falling into the FIFA verse a little bit, but the silence is deafening. If we haven't heard anything from the club, you know nothing's going to happen. And I think if it does happen, we need a lot of things that are out of our control to sort of fall into our lap. No, I think we want to talk about it because we want the silly rumors of him going to Arsenal to go away. I don't know.
Why does Alan immediately jump to Doku? Why? Well, why is Alan straight to Doku?
What do you mean? I'm trying to be serious here. If
we all know
you went Doku out, but you didn't. You just went Doku out like straight away.
He gives the ball away.
Even he's from a country that's probably the closest to the UK, and you're still giving him the Brexit FC.
By the way, can we now give up on the Leroy Sané return? He's going to Galatasaray. Move on. And
to be honest, I'm just glad he's not going to a Premier League rival. To be honest, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I just need to add a couple of things. Sorry, I'm late. Well, I wasn't. I'm not actually meant to be joining these. Hey ho. The right back situation. I just want to add. I know everyone's doing this. You know, we've saved up a load of money. Let's drop 80, 90 mil onto Livramento. Is he worth 80 or 90 million?
No.
So are we not panic buying doing this? Because here's my question. If the right back was the 100% necessity and was like the major area of the pitch we were looking at, would we have not bought the right back in now?
Agreed. I think we've still got options at right back. I think the left back, obviously, going into a season.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, you can't really go in with Ake, Nico O'Reilly. I think, again, it's pretty similar to what you've kind of mentioned, Martin, where it's if we are going to play this new style and we've got wing backs going up and down, we've already got Nunes that can kind of do it. You have Aït-Nouri on the other side. I think the right back's less of a necessity.
Is there a possibility Nico might be converted to work out on the right?
Who?
Nico O'Reilly.
No.
Could Nico O'Reilly move to the right?
He's left-footed. It makes sense to keep him on the left.
Because, I mean, I was listening to LB's last night. They were talking Hakimi. See, we've got to be careful here when we're doing Hakimi. And I get it, and everyone loves it. We are well over our foreign contingent right now. I think we're 2 or 3 over. So if you want to bring in a Hakimi, you're now looking at 3 or 4 foreign players going out the door or not being registered. We've got to look at it from a squad standpoint. Getting Hakimi is great, but there's no room for him.
Well, let's talk about who they can get rid of. And obviously you can mention Grealish, but he's English, so to me you need to get rid of at least 2 foreigners. So
but Alan, you get rid of 2 foreigners just to get even.
Yeah,
I know.
You need more than that,
right? Well, who do you get? Tell me, Martin. Realistically, who can you sell?
I don't know. This is the problem. This is
no.
What we've done is because our planning has been so poor in the last year or 2, it's left us in a little bit of a dilemma. And people got to realise if you look at our last 8 signings, 7 of them have been foreign.
Exactly.
Well, did no one ever think that homegrown was ever not going to become an issue during that game? You can't bring in 8 foreign players and go, oh, let's add another foreigner.
I know. So this is what I'm saying. You know, they've got to look at getting rid of a few foreign. Now we've got our midfield revamped, which we have. Do we get rid of Gundogan? Do we get rid of? We've already got rid of KDB.
The problem is, Alan, it's not as easy as just being like, out the door, see you later. They've all got contracts.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not just...
We need the interest to come in.
Yep.
You've just lost, by the way. Galatasaray may not do Gundogan now. They're putting all the money into Sane.
Yep.
Well, Gundogan's got 1 year left. I think we can afford to get rid of him. I think we can afford to get rid of him for a 1 year deal out the door. Right, wage.
Right, but Bernardo's only got a 1 year deal, so can we say the same on him now?
Maybe that might come into the fruition now and say, can we write it off? And get rid of him.
You can't just write 20 million off.
I know, but everyone knows I love Bernardo, and I do love him. But what do you do? They're in a situation.
I think if they were on lower wages, Alan, I'd agree with you. On lower wages, but 300 grand a week for what? A year. Gundo's on 250, 260 for a year. Grealish is on 300 grand for a year. You pay up all them contracts, you're 30, 35 million in the hole. You can't just ditch 35.
Edison?
Well, Edison's only on 90 grand. So that's not as much of a hit.
You're going to have Calvin Phillips out the door as well, too. That's going to be a factor.
He's an English one.
But that's what I'm saying. Regardless, then that puts more pressure on you.
Oh, and by the way, when you cancel a contract, you do get penalised as well. You can't just pay up the salary and go by. Because they're well within the rights to, well, what about my bonuses that are in my contract? What about all this other stuff that's in my contract?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as just cancel a contract. I know everyone thinks, yes, let's be brutal, but you can't do that with 3 players.
That's why Viana's got even harder job now. This is even harder than some players.
Well, he's passed the first test.
So I'm going to ask this question. And then I'll shut up.
Go on.
What about, is Núñez not good enough to be the right back? Because he did the job.
He did a job.
I'll shut up now.
I bet he did a job against average sides at the end. Martin, he did okay. I'll grant you that. But when he came against the big sides, he struggled.
I feel like Núñez is probably one of the ones that realistically we'd like to get out the door. But again, he kind of performed back end of the year. Pep wants him to stay now.
The problem is, Martin, Nick, is that we have to get rid of foreign players now to be able to balance things up. So some players have got to be casualties here.
Look, realistically, I think there'll obviously be offers coming in for. I think there'll be offers that come in for Gundo, Bernardo, probably Kovacic, maybe not now if he's got an injury. I think Núñez could definitely get an offer from somewhere. It's whether or not they want to go. And also whether or not Viana is going to be, because again, we all know Chiqui's got a bit of an emotional attachment to all of these players, whereas I don't think Viana kind of has that at the moment. So maybe he'll be a bit more stern and kind of try and force some of the players out. But
Nick, it's certainly a situation where you'd rather have Viana dealing with those sort of things than Chiqui.
100%. Yep, 100%.
Yeah. It is a bit of a conundrum, people, and everybody's got such varying opinions about it too. But I think we're going to have to sort of detach from our emotional attachments with some of these players. I believe. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because you try to look at it from a standpoint of who's the most beneficial players of those who could possibly get the chop, and then you also look at those who. Maybe because of homegrown, maybe because of their offloading their wages, they might actually end up staying. I'm using John Stones as a prime example.
Pat, do you know what scares me on Livramento? And it's not Livramento. I think he's a very tidy player, and I think he's a very, very good fullback, one of the best in the league. Despite I don't play in this, he's homegrown, he's foreign. I don't buy into this argument on that. But the one thing I will say is, I get we're in a predicament and people will go, well, 70, 80 million, it's not our money. I get it. I back that all the time. But is he a world record fullback fullback.
No.
Not for me.
That's what I'm saying. You are going to be talking a world record for a fullback here. Maybe a world
paying
record
that much
for
money for Livramento. I'd rather go more and get Hakimi.
Can't get Hakimi in.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, and disregard anything to do with foreign or homegrown or anything like that. But it's like, if you're going to go that far for a player like Livramento, you might as well go further and go for the best.
Look, but you can't get Hakimi in. That's the problem.
No, I know.
To be honest, I think where the kind of mistake I look at it personally is we've obviously brought in both Kusanov and Victor Hayes in that previous window. I think realistically, if they went out and got an English centre-back instead of one of those, maybe it would have helped a lot more, because I think there's more options at centre-back than there is right-back and kind of midfielder. Again, you're going to have to pay a tax, but I don't think the centre-back's as difficult to get done as kind of the right back and especially the kind of that Gibbs midfielder.
We're stacked at centre backs area, aren't we? We've got
plenty. Oh, obviously, yeah, and that's why I mean we've brought in 2 foreign centre backs when realistically maybe they should have pushed harder for maybe an English centre back.
Mate, looking at the English side, Christ Almighty, we haven't got any.
No, that's because we've got an absolute shite manager, Alan. Stop blaming it on. I'm bored of this blaming the players nonsense. Anyone who ever thought Timmy Tuchel was going to be a decent manager hasn't watched football in the last 10 years. The guy plays absolute dog crap football, boring football, hasn't got a clue football, and then we're all sat there blaming the players again. Tommy Tuchel is not good enough to be a top-level manager in my eyes. Sorry, nah. No, I mean, it's why I don't watch England, not because of the players, because of the managers.
And see, for me,
and what makes me laugh is, I'm on my rant here. What makes me laugh is let's go back a month. No one wanted Morgan Gibbs-White because he was too expensive, but everyone's willing to drop 80 million quid onto a Livramento.
Yep.
And that isn't in the Gibbs-White stuff. This is what I was saying weeks ago. We shouldn't be getting fixated on the price.
Yeah.
We're getting too fixated on prices.
What do you think the prices would have been for Mark Gay and Branthwaite?
They're both decent players.
But that's what I mean. I see more potential in those two than I do a Livramento personally.
Yeah, what we've got at our club at the moment are better than those two.
No, of course. But again, if it was to help the English quota, then I think
if you're Newcastle, Pat, would you let Livramento go, knowing they've got homegrown issues and they're wanting to challenge?
No. And that's me talking if I was the club. The fans, we all know, don't want to let him go because they feel that now that squad's won a trophy, they just don't want him to disband in any way whatsoever. And that's fine. That's fine, but you got to understand that every player has a price tag. So, that's just how I see that. But look, I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm glad that we are bringing it up this soon because I think we're doing the right thing on the show by talking about it because everybody's so hyped about who we've signed, and that's fine because what we've done is nothing short of spectacular in these 7 to 10 days basically. But sooner or later, we're going to have to talk about this because we've got a spoil of riches at the moment. And as much as Viana's probably, enjoying his success at the moment for what he's done in terms of players coming in, what's the real baptism of fire now is who's he going to be able to get out. Now, as I said before, I'm glad to see that it's going to be him who's probably going to be, pulling the strings because he doesn't have the emotional attachment like Cheeky. He'll be able to pull the plug on a certain player straight away. And I think the second we start seeing any sort of business from any players who might be on the precipice of leaving, I think they're going to be out the door very, very quickly. Well, and we have to accept that because there's not a lot of he's not going to have emotional attachment in the same way that we probably shouldn't either.
But do you also? Sorry, just one sec. Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think there's also? I get the feeling from a Bernardo, a Gundogan, kind of those players that are they know that their time's almost coming to an end at City anyway. I think they've obviously. If they're told that they're going to be small part players next season, especially a Bernardo who probably still feels like he's probably still got it and can go and play first team football anywhere else. I think maybe that kind of would help those kind of players move on as well. And they'd probably be more open to things like that rather than Nunes, who's probably, he wants to stay. He knows he's still got plenty to give. He's young enough to kind of still compete.
They put themselves in this situation, like Martin said, we're going to have to lose at least 3 overseas players. We've got to. And
I think Foggy makes a great point. I do think Pep. Well, I think Foggy in the chat makes a great point. I think Pep's going to see what this squad can do abroad. There's a reason he's taking only the established people, and we're not taking the EDS across. We're not even taking the 35.
It's like a reverse preseason in a way, Martin.
Yeah.
It's like a reverse preseason. Yeah.
And I think if Nunes and Akanji do a job at right back while we're there, I don't.
He's gone.
I think Martin's just dropped there for a second. Yeah, I think what he was basically saying was something along the lines of maybe they're planning on utilising Akanji and Nunes as the right back. Maybe we'll see Kuznov. I don't know. Maybe we will, but it remains to be seen.
Has Kuznov actually played at right fullback or not yet?
He's played right-sided centre-back in back threes. That's probably about as close as he's come.
Not fullback.
No.
Exactly. People might say because he's quick, he might be able to play fullback, but you've got to be able to get up and down, up and down, up and down, all the way through.
I mean, from the small sample size we've seen, you would think he might be able to convert into a right back as well. But it's not just about out and out speed. I mean, that was certainly something that helped Kyle Walker for many, many years. It was always a fallback for him if he had a howler. But I don't know. I think with Kuznov, it's like I'm glad that we signed him at the age that we did because while he's still young and still raw talent, you can still sort of mold him into the player, or Pep can mold him into the player that he wants him to be. But at the same time, too, this is a huge adjustment for the guy. So he's as worried about where his head is as much as where his feet are. So I'll be interested to see exactly what they plan to do with him. I think we'll probably see a player like him being utilised quite a bit in this Club World Cup as well. I think slightly weaker oppositions, and all due respect to Wydad and Al-Ain, but the fact that we are playing some weaker opposition gives us an opportunity to sort of maybe try a bit of hybrid defending, hybrid wingbacks, hybrid fullbacks, whichever way you want to do it. Maybe this is an opportunity for him to do something like that. Because one thing we know from Pep is Pep will do everything in his power to either get versatile players through the door or get them at an age where he knows he can actually create versatility for them. So I'm curious to see exactly what happens.
I could also see him playing right back, definitely based on the fact that we don't really need 2 fullbacks kind of bombing up and down. If you've got Ryan Aït-Nouri kind of bombing up on the left and most of our play kind of goes through that, and if you have a Cherki on the right-hand side who can also kind of create at large volumes, do you need an overlapping fullback on the right?
I know, but I mean, if we're already bringing a fullback in like an Aït-Nouri, then I'm out of the opinion that we're probably going to be looking at a wing back for the right-hand side as well too. So I feel like we're getting closer to the back three situation again. Yeah, so not too sure about that. Martin, you were saying before?
Sorry, I lost connection now.
No, you're right. You were talking about Nunes and Akanji possibly playing the right back, or at least the right-sided centre-back role, through the tournament.
I think it's going to depend on how we're going to play in it. I think we're all guessing at what the formation is and the way we're going to do. Pep Linders may come in and put a tweak into Pep's ideas and say, try this. You don't know.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Are we after a fullback that is a flying fullback like Aït-Nouri? Are we going for a more solid fullback? Is the plan to go with a back 3 and let Aït-Nouri go? Because then that changes things. Do you necessarily need a right fullback?
Yep.
Because you can play a 4, Aït-Nouri goes up the wing, and it turns into 3 centre backs. If you know what I mean. So there's always like an in possession, out of possession formation.
Or are we in a position where we're looking at keeping Aït-Nouri wide, but then the right-handed player would just be inverting all the time?
Yeah, I mean, so Steve,
which is a bit niche. Because we wouldn't see that for 70 games a season, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Finn, by the way, it's a great point in the comments. He says, well, why not sell a Kanja and Ake? The trouble is that's one foreign, one homegrown.
Mm.
And if you bring in a foreign and a homegrown to replace, your numbers are just still the same.
Just like for like.
Your numbers don't change. Yeah, but we've got to start shifting the numbers around. If I'm going to be honest with you, and this is my big worry into this Club World Cup, is where's this leaving Echeverri? Where's this leaving O'Reilly even? It's great O'Reilly's probably going to sign his deal, but A, it's not been announced yet, even though it's agreed. And B, where does he go? Because if we're going to say left back, well, you've got Ain't Nori there now, Ake's back fit, and you've got Gavardio there, who could all go ahead of him. You then go right into midfield. Well, you've got Rinders, Nico Gonzalez, Rodra, bloody, and all sorts. So he's now fourth or fifth choice back into midfield.
Yep.
And this is not me bashing the youngsters.
What I said to you on the phone before too. I said this is going to be the biggest test of his career because he's had it. Let's say compared to what is coming up, he's had it easy last season. This is the real test for him now if he wants to become a top player, not just in England but in Europe. That's usually how the top players sort of come through. They have to face these sort of adversities, whether it be new signings or players coming back from long-term injuries. This is now his chance, or if he has an opportunity, he's got to take it.
This is why I think, Martin, I think that Gundogan's got to go. If you're going to produce and bring on Nick O'Reilly, which is the forward thinking, you have to sacrifice some of the foreigners. And I'm very sorry, but Gundogan, as much as he's been a brilliant player for the Manchester City Football Club, I think he's got to be moved on.
So it's probably better to work out, Alan, moving almost back to front and looking at the foreign players that you would keep. I think because at the moment there's a bunch of kind of players that we know are on the fringe.
Well, I'll throw another name, Nick. Rico Lewis, that everyone's talked about. No one's talked about Rico yet, where he's going.
Yeah.
Do you think with the English players, though, Martin, that until the internationals get moved, they sort of have the question? You know, those pieces can't be moved until other pieces have been moved on the board.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued.
Which is why I think John Stones will stay and see the end of his contract, because I think the quota dilemma, along with the wages, will keep him here.
Correct.
The club will just bite the bullet and say, take the 1 year and then off.
There is interest in Stones. One of the clubs is wild. How I never thought there'd be interest. Then I realised who the manager was and went, oh, that's why Wade may want him. John Stones, he has got, well, Everton is an option and Bayern Munich are also interested. And it is very Bayern Munich-like. Bayern Munich are very, how do I put it? I think obviously Company knows him, Company likes him, and it is very Bayern Munich to bring in an older, seasoned player. They've done it in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. Maybe that could be John Stones' swan song. I don't know. That ball's in. Obviously, Bayern Munich have to make the offer, or Everton have to make the offer. It's all right as saying, like, well, Jack Grealish can go to Newcastle. Newcastle don't want Jack Grealish. They're pulled away from it. So then Everton have made a tentative offer, but they only want to pay half the wages, maybe a bit less, and it's a lowish loan fee. I don't know. This is like, so I think someone mentioned earlier, this is what Viana's got to face now. But where I'm happy with, Viana's facing this from a very unsentimental point of view, the cold pair of eyes that we talked about an LB show, Pat. He can look at it from a very cold perspective, no emotional attachment. They're not his players. He's not bought any of them. Maybe he will be a bit more ruthless. We don't know. We don't know. It's all right saying Echeverri. Well, remember, Viana didn't bring Echeverri. Cheeky did.
Well, they're going to have to be very, very tough decisions that they're going to have to make. And it might piss a few people off, but at the end of the day, they've got to be made. Simple as that. They've got to be made.
But these discussions would have already been had. Yeah. These discussions would have already been had internally. I feel like they know exactly who's going out already, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, they will. and it will. Some of the names will piss people off. At the end of the day, this is what these people are getting paid to do. So, you know, we can't be sentimental. They're doing it for not the short term, they're doing it for the long term. We've got to remember that. You know, it's not a case, oh, we can have it for 1 more year. It's not about that. They're doing this for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And we have to take it on the chin. If they get
I'd love
right,
to keep Grealish. I'd love to keep Grealish for home, you know, because I think, and not just for homegrown. Trouble is, Pep's not going to play him.
Yeah.
They're falling out, and it's clear to see.
So it's not fair on Grealish to sit on a sit on a bench.
Well, he needs to play for England because England need him after what I saw the other night.
Well, he's not even going to the Club World Cup. By the way, has anyone got access to Blue Moon Forum? Apparently, the 25-man squad's on there.
Okay. I mean, I can access, but I just haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
No, I've not. I've not seen
it.
No,
just thinking about it too, because we're just talking about, you know, making sure he had the squad numbers and that too. But talking about Leon, you know, Leon wanting to loan a player of ours the other way, and you know, it sounds like it's like a player to be named later sort of situation. But we seem to have forgotten. Do you think they might take Nico O'Reilly?
That's a good point from Dash as well.
I can tell you one thing. Jurgen Viana has a ruthless side. You honestly think he nicely negotiated with the 3 clubs on a cheaper fee? Guy literally stood firm and took no prisoners in his approach. That's true, actually, Dash. And I don't know if you saw it too, mate, but on LB did a show last week as well, where there was some sort of transcript on a phone call between him and one of the sporting directors at Inter about a transfer from about 3 or 4 seasons ago. And the guy was just ruthless, just a savage. Like the way he just kept like aggressively lowballing on this figure for a certain player, whether they were selling something. Well, I can't remember the selling or buying or something like that. But it was just this guy just seems like an absolute bulldog in the way that he does his business. And maybe that's something that's something we might have been lacking recently. So
I feel like I have not seen many photos of him smiling. He looks like a very
he always looks serious. Yeah, I think he smiled more when he was a player.
He smiled in the photographs for the players sat next to him.
He was forced.
That's AI. That's AI, Alan. What are you on about? Yeah. It's a bit like you when you smile. That's AI. That's just a filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martin will be back soon. I'm pretty sure he's just dropped out there anyway. But it's a dilemma that, like, you know, we freak out a bit, but at the same time we can also look at and say, God, thank God we're not in Viana's shoes, or I suppose we probably would like to be in their shoes because, you know, it'd be a nice payday. But it's a I don't know. Like, I'm looking at this, you know, sort of idea of, you know, when we get to like your August, September months and things like that, when the window's getting ready to close, you wonder exactly like who's going to go out on loan, who we might be able to move around. And now that we know that as part of the deal with Leon for Rayan Cherki, there is going to be a player going the other way. And we were talking about, they're saying they're talking about it was going to be a midfielder or going to be an attacker. And I was going to ask you, but now Martin's back. I was thinking, we didn't talk about Nico O'Reilly. Do you think there's a possibility that O'Reilly might go to Leon, Martin?
I hope not. I really do hope
It wasn't discussed. We weren't talking about it.
It's a left field option, but
literally.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it. But I have got a. I do worry about his playing time. I do worry about it.
Yeah, I agree. What Elliot's mentioned, it's pretty easy to work out who's going. Well, Elliot, can you
I've sent him the link. Let's see, because apparently he said he's dead easy. So Elliot's asked for the link if you don't mind, Pat.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. If Elliot wants to come on with his, if he's checkers or we're chess or whatever order it's in, then that's fine. But
Elliot,
he's all high and mighty at the moment because he's joining the Spanish.
That's the list: Edison, Ortega, Bettinelli, Diaz. Can someone count these so I know we got the right numbers? Edison, Ortega, Bettinelli, Diaz, Cabadio, Kushyanov, Victor Hayes, Aki Stones, Lewis, 8 Nora.
O'Reilly, Rodri,
O'Reilly.
Nico, Rinders, Gundogan, Bernardo, Foden, Cherky, Echeverry, Bob, Savinho, Doku, Harlan, Mamouche. That's 25.
So who's been left out there? So there's no no
Grealish
Foden.
and McAtee, we already know.
Foden's out. Grealish, McAtee are out.
Yeah.
We know they're
I'm
definitely
working
out.
Just
Yeah,
play people.
I'm trying to bring up the squad just so we can try and use like process of elimination here.
There's Nunes in there because it's gone.
Keep an eye on the chat too.
Here he is. How are you, mate?
Yeah.
Here's the
Elliot,
main
you right,
man, Elliot.
Yes, hello lads. Hello Pat. Hello James Trafford. Hello Bruno Gomes. Hello Rodrigo.
He's James Far from Trafford.
Thought you were on holiday.
And he's
I'm
got
holiday,
a
but
rumour.
I'm currently listening to this and I'm thinking, what are we doing here? Trying to put Will together or something?
No, mate, listen.
All right. Well, some of us are playing checkers and some are playing chess, mate. So whatever.
Well, it's a centre half, innit? There's obviously a centre half. So whether it's Stones, Akanji, Diaz, Guardiola, obviously I know that's not going to happen. But obviously it's a centre half would obviously go in. I would imagine either Stones or Raki would be my probably options. I think a goalkeeper will still go. I don't know which one will go, but I think the goalkeeper will still go. Whether you bring another homegrown goalkeeper in, I don't know whether you could do that. Well, maybe Alan. Maybe
you can bring in your boy Elliot, Donnarumma.
Well, I would have Donnarumma, Nick, but I suppose that's more number one, innit? Do you know what I mean? I'm more thinking, obviously. The thing is, I think Martin's mentioned it before. Is it called Restis in France? I think is it Toulouse or something like that? I think he's only like 18-year-old. So if you brought someone like him in,
we don't talk about him. We don't talk about him because I balls his name up literally. He ended up being called Sassy.
Well, hang on. If you're talking about him at 18, you might as well bring James Trafford in because he's English.
Yeah, I think he's more.
Oh
I think he's more second choice though. Anyhow, this rest.
Alan, will you get your James Trafford loving off? The guy's going to Newcastle. Move on, Alan.
He's got his loving off. Don't you worry about it.
We get 25% signing on fee for that one as well, don't we?
So anyway, that's how many is that already? 3? Is that 3 I've got rid of already? Right, I'm getting to midfield. Then you've got. I personally think I said this to you. I think it will be Martin on a stream once. I think it's between. I think 2 of the midfielders will go. Where that's Gundogan and Kovacic, or Kovacic and Bernardo, or Gundogan and Bernardo. Maybe that's an option. Grealish obviously gone.
Go with an Achilles. He's just had surgery, hasn't he?
Well, I don't know why would nobody still look at that though? Like you say, he's 30-year-old. They would probably argue his. Yeah, I'm gonna say he'd argue his best player in like midfielder towards the end of last season. That's Martin, consistency wise. And if that was when he was playing injured, then imagine what he's going to be like if he's actually fully fit. I'm more thinking about Kovacic getting into the team more than anything. If I'm honest, I'm more thinking about where's he going to get into that team if he's wanting to play.
Well, I'm like that with O'Reilly, Elliot. I think O'Reilly's been.
No, I think O'Reilly should be a squad player though, Martin. I think O'Reilly should be a squad player. O'Reilly only
fourth choice.
Well, no, because it could be a left back. You could still use him as a left back.
He's versatile.
Listen, I want O'Reilly to play, and I've fallen in love with O'Reilly a bit. I've got a bit of a soft spot for O'Reilly now.
Obviously, McAtee, that's the other one. That's the other one what I would say. McAtee. I also think there's a chance that Echeverry will go, as much as that pains me to say. I think Echeverry will probably go on loan, maybe.
Say that again.
Say that
again.
To me, he seems like the favourite for that Leon line.
Yeah, exactly, Pat. Yeah, exactly, Pat. Yeah. No, but like I said,
I've noticed he's calling him Echeverry now and not Echemesa.
Well, he's Echemesa to me. He's Echemesa to me, but hey, that's just because I like him, innit? Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I said, I think it is pretty easy. Like I said, how many players is that? Like, I got rid of 6, 7. So I think it's pretty easy to do. Yeah, I was like, I think it was Josh said it before. He spoke absolute facts. Sometimes, you've got to be ruthless in football, and I think we have been ruthless in football for the last 2 probably windows. I would probably say. So all of a sudden now we are ruthless. It's almost like, well, what do we do here? But this is how it probably should have been for the last 2 windows, and now obviously we're doing it. So I think it's probably all come up like once. Which, listen, this needed to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's not kid ourselves here. Like, last season, 1 win in 14, whatever it were, that's not Manchester City standards. Whether people like that or not, that isn't what we have set over the last decade, I would say.
I'll throw a left field one. Could anyone see Savio going on loan to Lyon?
I think that'd be stupid, Nick.
So soon, only spending one season with us. Yeah.
And I just think it's like basically, to me, you might as well just sell him. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing stuff like that, like one season in, and let's be honest here, right? When Savio played on the left, me and Matt had this discussion before. When Savio's played on the left, he's probably been his best winger this season.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's probably quite scary considering this is his first actual season and the way that we played this season. I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think Savio is a right winger. I probably prefer Savio on the left. Now, the main question, I suppose, what we need to ask is, are we actually going to play with wingers? Because there's a book, what I think, is it Pep Linders? What I think he wrote about, he prefers playing with like 3 forward actual men. Yeah. Like sort of strikers. Well, obviously, if you look at Liverpool, obviously that Salah was, well, he still is now, as a machine at scoring goals. Mane was unbelievable at Liverpool, and obviously they had Firmino as sort of like the false nine, who probably didn't score as many goals. But if you look at it, if we're going to get as wide men scoring, the numbers what as wide players have created this season is nowhere near the levels as probably what Pep Linders is going to want if that's where he's going to go down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so maybe
Doku. Bye.
Hang on, Alan. That's where I was going to kind of go. Is realistically, man, we've got play 3 kind of left wingers at the moment, kind of left forwards, left wingers. Marmoush is probably first choice. Doku and Savio can fight it out for like second and third, but like one of them, realistically, if they all want to play on that left-hand side, I don't think you can keep all 3.
Me personally, it's like I kind of fall into the same camp of Alan, where it's like I'm okay with if we let Doku go, but also too, I do feel like he is a little bit hard done by because I don't think we got to see. I don't think we got to see the best Doku because I think the best Doku would have benefited from a midfielder who would have been able to arrive in the box a little bit more, would have been able to receive passes, do a little bit more 1-2-1s together, sort of playing to the byline a little bit more, cutbacks and things like that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to is that I would have loved to have seen Doku with a prime Gundogan running into the box with some of the crosses that he would have been doing, beating the man.
I think that's where Ryan will come in.
And that's I was getting to exactly, Mark. You put the words in my mouth. I think that's what Rinders has been brought in to do. So I think the problem is we can talk about. Sorry,
he's not much of a box crusher. He likes to sit on the edge of the box.
Well, he's not a box crusher at Milan, but then also Gundogan wasn't much of a box crusher either at Dortmund.
Yeah,
Pep put that in his head. And then that's because he's such an intelligent footballer, he picked that up so quickly. The second we started going to false 9 football, he picked it up as quick as anybody.
Yeah, but Pat, can I argue back on that? I'm always going to argue back with the point what you make. I do agree with probably what you've just said about he hasn't put that in enough people in the box. But the point still stands, and I know Alan probably speaks about this a lot, and he probably gets a lot of stick. But I actually really do agree with Al on this. It's all right, people saying, oh, there's a box crosser, but the winger's job back in the day, which Fergie used to say, Brian Clough used to say back in the day, is you put your heels onto the, you put your heels on the side of the touchline, you get the ball, you take a man on, and you cross the ball in. Now, if the cross isn't good enough and the striker doesn't attack that cross and that's not a goal, then ultimately you can look at it and go, well, the ball in was decent, but then obviously the striker wasn't provided with the right sort of quality of the ball. The problem what we've had, Pat, is we've had people like Mahrez, who is a demon around the box, let's be honest. We've had Sterling, who people slag off and they say how many chances he missed. Yeah, he did miss chances, I'm not disputing that. But even Sterling, when you've watched back to Kevin De Bruyne's interviews recently, saying how much he loved playing with people like Sterling, Sané, people going on to Sané about how Sané was. Then all of a sudden, Pat, you look at where we probably ended up going, and maybe Savio's a little bit of a critic with this sort of same thing. If they're not going to provide the ball in, the right ball, then that's no good to me. Like I say, I always remember, I think it was West Ham at home, Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, where Savio put the ball into the back post. I think Holland just tapped it in, and he ran round the back of the net.
Everybody was screaming out for more of the same with that. That one goal alone was the one where we were screaming more of the same, please.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, I do get what you're saying about Doku, but if Doku isn't going to improve on his end product, then we can always just sit here every summer and go, well, if it's, you know what I mean, what we're going to say next summer, well, there's been box crashes, but unfortunately, defends. They've had the midfielders in inside their 18 yards, or they've had extra.
Sorry to jump in. Has Akanji been left at home?
Well, he was the one complaining about the Club World Cup. So
has he been left at home? The contract list is
we
not
need to
on
bring
it.
up that comment. We need to bring up that comment again because I tried to go and look at the squad and I just lost track of everything. Hang on.
It's
There's
not on
Ortega,
it.
Bentelli, Diaz, Guardiola, Lewis, Honori.
He's been left at home.
I can't see him.
Well, maybe he's not part of the future plans either.
I can't see him. Yeah, just want to take him. Bentinelli, Diaz, Guardiola, Kuznov, Reyes.
Elliot, one other thing on
he's not there.
I don't think Aït-Nouri coming in helps Doku at all.
He's not there.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of
He
agree with
just
that.
those two will just get in each other's way.
Yeah.
So is that a Kanji guy?
I think
Kanji's he's not listed. He's not listed there.
I think Haaland finds it very sorry, by the way, I didn't know you speak of them, mate. To your point, mate, yeah, I think Haaland finds it very frustrating with Doku. And I think if everyone's honest and they say how they actually see it, I think a lot of people would say the same thing. I think people try and gaslight themselves probably into the fact that Doku maybe get a bit better, maybe he's going to end up with a bit more end product. But for me, it's fine. Look, listen, if Doku comes in, he gets end products and he's amazing next season, then I'll man's up and I'll say, look, I was wrong. I'll admit that. But until I've seen that, I cannot say anything different. I've seen more end product better from Savinho in his first season than what I have from Doku, and that's me just being honest.
Yeah, the hardest part, Elliot, I think, like I was saying this to the others the other day, I'm pretty sure, but I went back and watched Doku's highlights when he was at where did he come from? Rennes,
yeah.
And the only thing that I can see that's actually improved from Doku is his dribbling. Like his shooting hasn't gotten better. It's very like similar. I don't think he's passing.
Yeah, well,
Henri did say on the overlap though. He needs to look up a bit more.
Yeah,
that's my point. Pat, that's my point. I think that's where people get a bit misfinged with it.
In the nail on the head, Pat, what Henri said on the overlap was 100%.
He needs to look up more. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I think people are getting a little bit misconfused in the comments. Maybe I think they're not maybe getting what I'm saying as to what I'm trying to say is it's fine if Doku can improve that. Then listen, like I've just said 2 minutes ago, I'll man's up and say I was wrong about Doku. Yep. But unfortunately, now when I'm 2 years down the line and we're having the same discussion, and let's be honest, right? We all bang on about Jack Grealish not having the same product and he's not scoring goals and he's not getting assists. Well, what's the difference if Doku's going to keep spamming a cross into the box and it's not going to end up as a goal or it's not going to up as anything or an assist or whatever it may be, then we can have the same conversation with Doku, surely. Surely it's got to be the same energy for every single player.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that.
The Doku has his fan club, you know that.
No, maybe so. Listen, he's fine. Look, I personally think out of the wingers that we have, the one that maybe isn't going to work in that system is Doku. I'll be honest about that. Oscar Bob is way more techie and better player than Jeremy Doku is. Savinho for me is way more techie.
And I don't mean that comment in a derogatory way of because Grealish had his fan club. I think fans, football fans of today, and I don't mean City fans, all football fans, said this 1,000 times. All football fans are becoming Player FC, but we're all going into our camps of players. And we shouldn't do that because they're all wearing the blue shirt. And we should be able to openly constructively criticize.
But my point is on Martin. Sorry, mate, but my point is when do we have this conversation about Doku? Because like the problem is what you have. I think LB said this before. I think it was on the stream with you, Martin, where he said we are kind of quite fair with City players. Like we do give them probably like a season or 2 seasons or whatever. Now we're getting to the third season with Doku. What we're going to do is just leave Doku for another season because he's Jeremy Doku and he's fasting us down the wing. Because let's go back to it and you say, and I know to be fair, I know Al said this a few times about Sterling, about his end product. His end product weren't good enough. No, it wasn't. But then you look how many goals Sterling scored for us and how many positions Sterling's got himself in for. And assists he got, and like I said, go back and watch it, there's there on evidence when KDB speaks about people like Sterling. We argued with that where people are praising, where as actual club legends are praising that player, but then the players who they aren't. Like for me, I look at it and I go back to it. Look at the Fulham game, last game of the season. Haaland was absolutely screaming at Doku in front of us, screaming in front of him.
Yeah, I do remember seeing it on a few occasions.
And the problem, you're always met with the same thing that everyone refers back to. Vinny Jr. was no good when he first came to Madrid, and he was a good dribbler, but he didn't have end product. But look at him now. But realistically, it's a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 kind of situation.
For me, Doku's not improved since he's been there.
No.
Well, this is a great point
with Doku though, because Martin, sorry, just quickly with Doku, it's a bit of a weird
go on.
one because, and I think Steve Finn put a comment in there too saying he is a handy super sub. And let's be honest, when we see him come on and play and try to kill off the last 20 minutes of a game, it's fantastic to watch because he just burns leggy defenders just for days on end. But the thing is when we brought him in, I think he played a considerable amount of minutes in his first season. He only played just over 1,000 minutes in a full season at Rennes before we signed him.
Yeah.
Now that's, you talk about his age being like, this quote, I've used it a million times in the show already, raw talent. But that's the raw of the raw. When you're only playing the equivalent of something like 12 to 13 games in a season, then all of a sudden you come to one of the biggest clubs in Europe. That's a huge change and a huge adjustment for a player to go through. And I think, Martin, you said it, Ozzy said it, Rich has said it. I think we all said it at some point. This guy is one of those ones where it's not going to take a year for him to bed in. It's probably going to take a lot more. I think he needs all the tools at his disposal for it to work. So that's why I'm not going to say like this season just completed is a bit of a write-off for him. But I think next season, if he starts getting more of the tools at his disposal and he's able to understand how his role in the squad actually works, then maybe there is a place for him. But right now,
hang on,
we're just not seeing it.
I get that. Yeah. I get that, but again, I want to use the same energy we've used for other people. People are saying Chime is a super sub. Does Doku? Are we saying we've spent 60 million quid on a super sub?
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Agreed.
No. It's not. And again, I'm using the same energy here because this is what we got from Grealish. 100 million quid, didn't do it after 3 years, and we find it hasn't worked. You then move to Doku, 3 years in next season, 60 million quid, and we're still doing the same thing. We're looking at it from a constructive point of view. People are saying, my issue with Doku is take away his ability. I think he has got bags of ability. My issue is the playing style.
But the
City and Liverpool, from the signings we're making, I don't think they're going to play direct wingers. Can Doku play any other game before direct wingers?
He's going to play.
Or is he only a direct winger?
He's going to play three up front, and the three have got to be attackers, not wingers.
But realistically, it's like all of us here would meet Savio with the same energy. If Savio was coming into his third season and we didn't see much improvement, I think he'd be getting the same kind of treatment. There isn't an agenda against Doku. Again, it's all of us having an opinion, and we just don't think he's improved to the level that he probably should have.
We can't afford to carry players this season. Can't.
Can I just say, we need to finish by 1. Sorry to be a pain, Pat, because we've got a meeting. The one thing I will say is a Kanji on the list of going, maybe, because he's been left out on this list.
That was suggested. That would start creating conversation.
I think Darsh wants to join for the last little bit.
So here's my question: if Foden's going
on Thursday night chat now, Martin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think we're overlooking this.
And between now and then, we're going to have a bit more clarity about it too. So,
yeah. You heard anything, Elliot? What do you think on that?
Did he not play last night? Oh.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right. Well, hold on a minute. Where were the game though?
I don't know. Did Switzerland play any games?
Yeah, they played last night against America, weren't it? Well, he's not going to travel if he's in America, surely.
Yeah, so that might be the thing. It's like you're not on the plane because that's probably just based on. Well, no, the squad's the squad. I mean, they still announce the squad. It's not about the only time you announce who's on the plane. The only reason you announce on the plane is when it's the passenger list.
So what? So obviously I don't know this. So what I'm saying is the list what's out? Is that for the squad or is that for the plane?
That's the squad. That's going.
So it must be okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know then.
Well, no, it would. Yeah, you're right, man. It would be the squad because some of those players would probably just come straight from South America as well because they've all just wrapped up from playing their qualifiers too.
Only thing I'm thinking though, Pat, is if they travel today, which I think they are, why would a Kanji come back to then go back again?
Right, can I just say
I
there is
know you
no
mean, but I'm talking
hate.
about South
Sorry,
Americans. They would probably just go straight. They wouldn't go back to Manchester.
There is no hate on Doku. There's no hate on Doku.
No.
Even I've been guilty of this.
Just that's why. Just that's why it's an A though. It's not an A. So Callum, tell us why he thinks why does he disagree with what we've just said? Like, tell us the reason why.
Because it's like, I mean, even I fell into that trap. I admit it. I said, why is he so much hate on Grealish? But we're doing this thing. Why is he so much hate on Diaz? Because he's shagging Maya Jama. But why is he so much hate on Akanji? Why? Every player this season in this squad is getting criticised.
Yeah.
So we can't hate everyone, but we have, and that was the mistake I made last season. And I hold my hands up on this, is that I didn't do enough constructive criticism. I took it in a personal and emotional way, especially on Foden. Because Foden's my boy. So I wouldn't allow anyone to have anything against Foden. Because Foden's my boy, so I get it.
But the thing is, we've been criticising the midfield and Gundogan and Bernardo's performances, Kovacic at times. Again, all of the players are open to criticism.
They all got it last year. Because let's face it, the team didn't perform last year. We still managed to get third spot.
Piss off, Alan. Alan, don't you dare open that can of worms.
Elliot, to answer your question, quick distraction. To answer your question, Kanji came off at halftime against the United States.
Yeah, there you go. Then, so I wonder if he's injured.
Well, he's saying that, but also Ricardo Rodriguez came off at the same time as well. They ended up 1, 2, 3.
He might be injured, mate.
They did seven substitutions.
Right.
So this was just a friendly. It was a kick around. So.
By the way, you're all talking about Doku, but you've all missed somebody else out, Oscar Bob.
No, Oscar Bob's not going anywhere.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. But
yeah,
where does Oscar Bob get in the
Oscar
team?
Bob's a midfielder, though. Oscar Bob's naturally a midfielder. That's where he was playing.
No. I agree. I agree with you, Elliot. But what I'm saying is, people are saying about Doku. Well, Oscar Bob may say, "Well, I want to go."
The one what you need to compare. No, the one what you need to compare to, if you're going to compare to anybody, is Savinho. But then it's like Pat said, it's very harsh doing that in his first season, especially with the way that we've just played. That's the harshest thing.
Take care, Fogger. Best of luck, mate, with you all.
But now, like I said, there needs to be questions on a lot of people. For me, there needs to be questions on people like probably Bernardo. Can he do it consistency, back-to-back games? Probably not. That's probably why we brought Rinders in, to be honest. Can Rodri play every single game this season? Definitely not for me. Whereas Nico Gonzalez is probably going to fit into this new system. He's going to play as an 8. He's going to play as a 6 inside of Rodri. Is Foden going to get back to what Foden we probably need? If not, then obviously we're going to have a problem with Foden.
Callum's come back to you, Elliot. Callum's come back to you.
It is the wrong word.
Hate is the wrong word, but Doku is one of the only players who truly plays with risk and tries to be impactful. The end product is mainly down to Haaland and not anticipating near post.
That is one thing Haaland does need to work on, is running to that near post.
Yeah.
I think we've all criticised Haaland as well at times.
Yeah. That's probably one of the things in Haaland's game where it makes you miss Aguero, because Aguero was absolutely on point with those sort of things.
Bob, like 100%. Bob will be the almost backup. Right forward this year, 100%. I think last year, if he didn't go down injured, there were games in that back end where we were kind of playing Bernardo at right wing. I don't think he would have seen as much if Bob was fit.
I think Bob's injury was one of the biggest what ifs this season.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this again. I don't think the way we're going to play with Nora and potentially Nunes or whoever else suits direct wingers. I think it's the direct wingers thing. Listen, I love a direct winger, and everyone knows who's watched me for a long time. My love fest for Peter Beagrie and Nicky Summerbed. When I used to watch Beagrie and Summerbed whipping crosses in for Uwe and Niall Quinn and Paul Walsh, it was exciting football. But the trouble was, football's changed now. You've seen it with Liverpool. Liverpool are going buying Kirkas and Frimpong. They're coming away from the wingers, and they're going to use those two. Because Verts is going to be the guy that goes through.
It'd be very unusual if you saw Nouri and Doku playing a game together.
That's my thing with Doku.
One was on the left and one was on the right.
Salah will play inside, which you can do.
Pat, Akanji did get injured last night. Just looked.
So he was injured. Okay.
He went off with an injury.
Right. Okay.
I definitely think I've said it previously as well, but I do think we need, out of these three forwards, we need forwards that are going to make those runs in behind. I think Marmouche, I think Haaland does it as well. Cherky's obviously quite creative and can kind of find those through balls and passes we've obviously seen. Again, I look at like maybe Savio and Doku, and Savio kind of has a bit more of that longer pace, will run in behind. Whereas Doku obviously wants the ball at his feet. He doesn't tend to make those runs in behind a defence. Again, it's something he could work on and be good at, but he's realistically, he's quite quick over that first 5 yards. But after that, players tend to kind of reel him in a bit more.
So let me ask you a question then, yeah? So who is your six? So says we're playing obviously two sitters, right? So like, obviously that's Rodri and probably Weather. And then you obviously got three in front, and then you got Haaland up front. Who's your three behind Haaland in the Club World Cup? Because mine's pretty simple, I'll be honest. For me, it's probably Cherky. Foden, if you can... Yeah, Marmouche. Foden, if you can get him back to his sort of form. If not, I probably would play Bob on the right, then probably Cherky inside, and then probably Marmouche on the left. And then obviously Haaland up front.
I'm with you on that, but I do want to see Foden have a rest.
Yeah. I'm more saying Nick if he was to get back to the form he was in. Obviously last season, obviously not last season.
It's not hard, Martin. Just feed the striker. I love that. Everyone knows. It's not hard. Just feed the striker. It's not that easy.
Haaland needs to do better as well. Haaland needs to do better as well. I think Haaland were pretty poor.
That's Jane Kelly stand talk right there. Just feed the striker.
Yeah. Just give the ball to the big man and he puts it in the onion bag. I get it. I don't know. I get it.
Yeah, he does need to be better though, Martin. He does need better though, Martin. I think
he's
body language. Haaland's body language for the last season.
Yes. Totally agree with you. I totally agree.
Come back to you.
And maybe that's where you can be fair with Doku.
I disagree, Martin. Nouri was signed as he can drive inside and outside, which could suit Doku Savigno along with Marmouche. Wesley has the same traits.
But it won't because Callum, you got to look at last season. The reason Doku wasn't starting is because he had O'Reilly and Nunes overlapping, and that's why Pep made the comment, Doku can't come inside. If you're not going to buy Ain't Nouri to come inside, then you're wasting Ain't Nouri's ability, skill set doing that. Ain't Nouri was the guy who get down the line and whip balls in, the same way Guardiola was doing.
The biggest problem what we have is currently who's Isaiah Sterner at the minute, right? Just answer these questions for us. Just, will you? Right, who is that, right? Right, Haaland. Right, how long's his contract for?
Oh, hang on, Jacob's here. Who thinks he knows more about City than me. Jacob, still waiting for this thing, mate, because I've forgotten more than Jacob knows.
I love his rant style. When he starts ranting, he's very, very good.
No, Jacob's fine. He's just... he likes a bit of FIFA, does Jacob, I've noticed. I think he plays FIFA. He was buying Hakimi last night. I don't know where we're frigging fitting in. We're three over already.
It's right back, easy, mate.
Right before we finish up, I was going to say, do you reckon we start to hear news about Outgoings while they're at the Club World Cup? I think there'll start to be murmurs, definitely.
Yeah.
I think by now the players would know who's on their way up.
Yeah.
You ain't ready for me, sunshine. Forgotten more than you know.
Well, it depends who has the questions, because like if MCFC Lads does the questions, then Martin, you might be in trouble because everything's from about the last 10, 15 years. You need a 1990s quiz.
No, that's what Jacob said. He knows more about City's 90s than me. That's what he said.
Well, what we'll do is we'll invite him on the show, just you and him head to head, and we'll have a quiz master. And we'll have
Jacob said he knows more than me and you, Alan, combined. He said.
Well, I'll be the quiz master, or Pat, and we'll do it. And it's you two. We'll get a score. We'll find out who's the best.
Yeah, I don't think we'll make a decision over two. I think I'm going to pull the executive decision and do it myself, Alan. But
I agree with that. What Callum says, predicting a Pep system is very hard.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Especially at this time of year, because my God, he mixes it up. Never mind getting the players match fit. God, he mixes it up, doesn't he?
Right, well,
We're ending in a minute, Nick.
Yeah, we're wrapping up shortly.
No, you're not going to bed. You're not going to bed.
I am.
No, you're not, because you know we've got a meeting.
Yeah, we've got a meeting and I've got that.
Yeah, Jacob knows more about zebras than me. I agree with that.
Jacob, bloody hell. Has he gone?
And Jacob can't talk about ranting at players. All he's done with the last 6 months is rant at everyone. He's shit.
I mean,
he's shit. He's shit. Get him out.
He has had it right though, mine, to be honest.
Yeah, we have been shit.
What?
Well, we have been shit.
I stick to what I said. I don't. Listen, yeah, we're always shit. No, Elliot, it is what it is. You know, I'm allowed my opinion. I think I was with Paul, yes, but I don't think every play was shit.
No, 1 in 14. No, 1 in 14 were shit.
No, but LB said last night was worse than Stuart Pearce. No, it wasn't. We didn't score a frigging goal under Pearce. Never mind win games.
Mate,
we weren't scoring frigging goals.
At least he was drawing games then.
They were at the Etihad in them days, Martin, and you know they were.
Yes, they were. It was at the City of Manchester Stadium, Alan. Stuart Pearce didn't manage at Main Road.
I don't know.
You were still living there when this happened, Alan. You can't tell me you don't remember this.
LB was not at the City of Manchester Stadium when Stuart Pearce was manager.
What do you mean he weren't there? But weren't he born?
Mate, I was there that season. We were terrible. Fucking hell.
Yeah, no, but what I think he's saying, Ali, I think
what
LB was saying is 1 in 14. Obviously, I don't know what he's actually said because I didn't actually watch the show. But I'm guessing what he said was probably worse than the Pearce days. I would imagine what he said, but I don't know. Obviously, what was said.
That's why
I haven't seen anything.
And I disagree with that because you want to try watching Bernardo Carradi up front and frigging Darius Vassell. And frigging, my God, no thanks.
Yeah, no shy.
Jesus Christ.
But we're shot this season, though, to be fair. Let's not like kid yourself here. Like, fucking, when we threw like a 3-goal lead away against fucking Feyenoord, you know what I mean? And like United game at home, it weren't great, were it? Let's
Jacob's come back to you, Alan, says we're 31, not 15. Well, I'm 42, so of course I've been going longer than you then, Jacob. By law of average, I've been going longer. 12 years older.
To be fair though, I bet Jacob's got a better fucking away record than what you've got, Martin.
That's quality.
Got you there.
I don't know where that came from. Neil Hancock says I quite like the piss off.
He fucking is.
Piss off. Do you know what? Do you know how bad it was in them days? I got excited about Hatem Trebelsa. I actually got excited when we signed Hatem Trebelsa because I'm like, we've signed someone from Ajax. I'm like, yeah, he was shit.
Dear mate, seriously.
All you need to do, mate, is just stay away from them away games next season, mate. That's all you need to do.
Yep, I've just put a hashtag in the chat if anyone wants to do it. Martin's away days.
Yeah. I still don't get the LB stuff because LB's 31. He's not like 12.
Oh dear. Anyway, Martin, I think we might wrap that up anyway. But big up to all of our panelists who are on the show this evening. We are back Thursday night chat, I believe, Martin. Yes, probably about what 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that again.
9:30.
Not clashing with LB again.
No, LB will do a 5-hour stream again.
Yeah. So
no big up. Yeah, no big up to everyone. Jacob, you're always welcome on, mate. You want to come on? More than welcome. But everyone is, listen, back Thursday. Friday, I'm not sure if there's a waffle show because I might be going away Friday night. I might be going to a stag do.
Oh.
What, local or you're doing the full thing in Amsterdam or Prague?
I'm not going to tell you where it is at because Alan will start on one. If I tell Alan where this,
you're going to the White Horse. You're going to the White Horse.
No, I'm going somewhere in the northwest of England, and Alan will kick off and start. So no, we're not doing that.
Let me guess. York.
Yeah, I will do, Jacob. I'll DM you, mate. No, I'm going to Liverpool, Alan.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, Alan.
And I do that.
I'm going with
He's
the
going to be
side.
sending you texts every half an hour, just saying,
Oh,
like,
yes.
have you
Mate.
had Eddie
You'll
Vernon?
get punched.
Yeah,
You'll get punched in Liverpool.
we've.
Oh, but I can tell you, by the way, just a quick one. I am going to do some. There's a charity match up at Newcastle. You know, Through Black and White Eyes with Baz and Ian.
Yeah.
They're doing a charity match for a local charity up there. And I've been asked to do some commentary on the game with a former famous commentator from ITV who is going to co-commentate with me up there. I will put the details up. Pardon?
Where's the outside James's?
No, it's up at I think of the team now. It's up somewhere anyway. But yeah, that's second, third of August. I can't, mate. I've got back problems.
It's all right. We're going to get Alan down to our indoor team one night.
What formation are you playing, Martin?
Pardon?
What formation are you going to play?
I'm not managing. I'm just commentating.
Oh, yeah, I'll commentating. I thought you were manager, though, ain't it?
Yeah. No, I did offer to manage, but they've already got one. Peter Beardsley's going to be there, former Newcastle, former City player. Kevin Keegan will be there.
Is he there? Is he going to be there, Martin? I think is it called Bruno Guimaraes?
Oh, Bruno Guimaraes.
Someone saying get your boots on.
It's 98% confirmed that he'll be there. It's 98% confirmed that he'll be in attendance.
I was asked to play, but I can't play. No, I'm not in a physical condition.
Bring Livermento on with you, Martin.
Yeah.
John Watson.
Look at this cheeky sod here. Done his badges as Martin. I have. Level 1 and level 2. Thank you very much. Have you not heard, Andrew? I've done my level 1 and my level 2. Anyway, Pat, wrap us up, mate.
Martin Dash just said Martin would have gone 172 long ball FC.
Excuse me. A former player, a former prodigy of mine has just signed for Bury FC.
Oh. Wait, Pat, can you just show Cade's comment?
Alan woke up there. Alan, Kieran Glenn, big up Kieran Glenn, is just signed for Bury FC. Played for me up front for Phoenix Athletic.
You want the Shakers?
See, I can't be that bad a manager when I've got former players becoming pros. You know what I mean? Can't be that bad a manager.
Cage just commented saying Martin just sacked in the morning.
Sacked in the morning.
You know,
it was down to the assistant Martin, weren't it? It was down to the assistant Martin, weren't it?
Yeah, it's down to the assistant. It wasn't out to do with me.
Like
the assistant got him to become
like Pet Linders, isn't it, mate?
If you're managing, you have to give oranges at half time, not
Injured Bizwas just said Martin Sean Dyche reject. No, Martin, just Martin Dyche.
Reject.
Oh, Martin Warner.
And I wasn't sacked. Because I was also the chairman of the football club, so they couldn't sack me.
Definitely sacked.
Right, come on, go to bed, son. Give us a ring when you're ready.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Mark. Sure.
Yeah, let's wrap it all up. Big thanks to everybody who's in attendance. Fantastic numbers tonight as well. So it's been great engaging with all of you. And we'll look forward to seeing you again same time next week. Of course, anybody new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you for our usual Thursday night chat. Big up to Alan, Nick, Elliot, and of course, Martin. Thank you very much for being a part of Blues Down Under.
No worries.
Big up, mate.
And we'll look forward to seeing you for episode 7. And of course, happy days over in this part of the world. Nick, obviously you were late on the show, but our Australians, our Socceroos off to another World Cup. Happy days ahead. And best of luck to everybody else. But otherwise, some of us can start booking our tickets nice and early, can't we? Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Bye, everyone.
You've only got
and big up Elliot. Elliot, save me a Corona.
Don't worry about it, mate.
I need the keys to this thing.